Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our technical session. And please join me as I welcome on stage the moderator of the session, Industry Advisor, Mr. Rahul Agarwal. Can we all put our hands together and welcome the moderator of the session? I also invite on stage our distinguished speakers. May I invite on stage AVP Supply Chain Strategy and Planning, Reliance Retail, Mr. Rachit Rungta. And may we also invite on stage Head Product Growth, Lynkit, Mr. Tarun Chhabra. Very warm welcome to you, sir. And before I request the moderator, Mr. Rahul Agarwal, to take over, may I say a few words about him? Mr. Agarwal is a seasoned professional with over 15 years of experience in attracting and facilitating institutional and infrastructure investment on a global scale. He initially served as a key member of high-level committee on financing infrastructure before transitioning to the role of Vice President at Invest India, the national investment promotion and facilitation in significant capital inflows and economic growth for the country. With those words, may I request Mr. Rahul Agarwal to kindly take over. Over to you, sir.
Hi. Uh, Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. See, I think, if you really look at India as an economy today, whether we are 4 trillion or not, so, 3.75, 4 trillion, the next 25 years for India are going to be very, very exciting, right? We are talking about, the conservative estimates talk about $25 trillion, optimistic estimates talk about $35 trillion. Now, logistics costs, if I hope we will not be still a double digit logistics cost economy, but even if we are, say, 6% of GDP at $35 trillion, I am actually talking about almost a 2.1 to $2.5 trillion industry in 2047. Right, that's the size of, in my view, that's what this industry is going to be in that year. E-commerce, has actually given a flip. Honestly, I think 20 years back, no one thought, probably these jobs did not exist, right? Which we are into, and the way it's changing, right, from a $37-38 billion industry to an estimate of $300 billion industry in 2030, right? That's a 10 times jump. And, what probably Reliance has done to us or some of the other brand names there, e-commerce has entered our day-to-day, right? The 10-minute delivery, initially, 24-hour delivery by Amazon, we were surprised. Now 10-minute delivery, and sometimes we wonder if the guy is really standing outside my home to deliver the products, right? That's all what we are thinking. But, when I start thinking about $35 trillion and $2.5 trillion industry, I think this is going to get further more exciting. And then drones, is it a hype or is it going to be a real thing? I don't know. So I think that's the broad background, and I have more questions. I'm not from the industry. I'm from infrastructure, and I believe I think we will have some interesting answers coming in from our panelists today. So we have very, very exciting panel. On one hand, we have Rachit from the industry, and Reliance coming in from nowhere to become the retail king today, if I can say that. And then we have Tarun on the tech side, and I'm very keen to understand what Lynkit does, because technology is going to be very, 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 very interesting aspect of how India unfolds from here. So Tarun, Rachit, I'm sorry, I think let's start from you. If you can, talk about Reliance's strategy, on the logistics aspect of its retail business, what are the innovative strategies you're adopting? And alongside that, what I'm really keen to understand is the practical aspects. When Kisan Andolan happens, right? How do you really take care of the logistics then? How are your last mile different in different places, right? There are cultural differences, there are infrastructure differences, there are technology differences, there are language differences. So how are you adopting that, and how do you integrate it at the highest level? So that's what I'm very keen to understand from you. Over to you.
Yeah, so Reliance would probably be the perfect example to answer this question because we have our leg in everything today. So, in terms of formats, we do grocery, we do electronics, we do fashion and lifestyle, furniture, pharmacy. We are just about present everywhere. Within formats, again, we are doing all possible fulfillment channels. So, we have our leg in our traditional value format or the offline stores. Then from an e-commerce point of view, we have the B2C online. We have again within this both marketplace as well as inventory owned model. Then we have B2B model, and we also have some part of B2B2C. And the logistics requirements for each of these are very different. And the way things started in Reliance, the first step for me as a head supply chain strategy is to integrate all the different formats and the various fulfillment channels to get the synergies. So that's a very, very important part of the strategy that we are following here. Coming back to the question which Rahul has put up, I mean, what are the differences? The differences in logistics requirements, and especially the last mile delivery, are immense. And the critical factor for this is my handling unit. So for B2C, for example, if I take, let's say, grocery, I have package ranges all the way from half a kilo going all the way to 6 kgs. And each of them requires a different kind of transport. For a half a kg you require, and then within the cities, hyperlocal, you require a courier hub network if it has to be outside the city, a dedicated vehicle transportation if it's within the city. So how do you take all this together? And then this is one aspect of the supply chain strategy that we're following. The other aspects are business continuity, as Rahul very correctly pointed out. For example, Kisan Andolan. So how do we strategize? How do we have policies in place where if such a unforeseen situation arises, then what do we have in terms of our strategy or planning to encounter it so that my service levels to my customers don't suffer? Then we have something around sustainability, which is again a very important parameter for every company today. And we also have to align to our country goals where we want to be carbon neutral by 2070. So, but underlying all these various aspects of supply chain is the changes, the big changes which technology is bringing in the whole landscape. We are moving towards personalization. Has anybody of you visited Tira, our beauty segment, where we are actually using AI to determine what a customer needs and to recommend on the spot even the minutest of colors, for example, for a lipstick. So that's the level we are going into. And logistics has to keep pace with that kind of change which technology is bringing into the customer perfection. So personalization, differentiated service levels. Now we have all the way from quick commerce, which is 10-minute delivery, to next day delivery, right? So the entire, so how many SKUs can I basically deliver in 10 minutes? How can I be cost effective while delivering it? Today, nobody charges the customer and this is a premium service. So I need to ascertain in my strategy, how should I go about it so that I can deliver it at lowest possible cost to me while being profitable. So these are the different aspects of supply chain strategy that as a Reliance Retail, we have to think about and incorporate in our vision document, strategy document every year.
Thanks, Rachit. I'll have a follow-up question, but I'll come back to you after I have my question for Tarun, because you mentioned technology, and I think Lynkit, Tarun, is involved in a lot of those, developing a lot of those technologies. Is that correct? So how do you think technology contributes to solving inventory management as well as last mile delivery challenges in India, Tarun? And one more thing, if you can actually highlight, I'm sure when you're developing these solutions, you are looking at the global solutions as well. So when you're looking at India, how they are different, and are there change? Are you using different solutions for different regions within India? Right? Do you consider it as one market, or you look at South differently, North differently? So I'm very keen to understand that as well.
So hi everyone. So like what we have done in our tech side, like was yeah. So what we have seen, like when we have worked with multiple and B2B companies like Bharat Petroleum, yeah. So we have worked with companies like Bharat Petroleum, Delivery, Blue Dart. Okay. Yeah. Now it's fine. Yeah. So like what we have, like while making our tech, we have seen the different use cases coming from the different organizations in terms of inventory and the last mile. So like Bharat Petroleum is one of our biggest use case for the last mile delivery, where we are doing their LPG cylinder deliveries. So what we have seen is like there are the different challenges coming, like they have shown, like the customer locations are coming incorrect in terms of our last mile deliveries. We are not getting the efficient routes in terms of our riders. So what we have built is, now it's audible. So like as I told, like we have been working with multiple organizations. So like Bharat Petroleum, Blue Dart. So what we have seen in their use cases is, like they have the different challenges, and every organization have their own challenges in terms of managing their last mile deliveries or in terms of managing their inventory. So what we have built in is like we have built an engine in terms, like we have partnered with NVIDIA. We have got their early access of their AI bundle, which we have made a highly efficient algorithm, which in turns captures like the vehicle and loads 3D imagery, like in terms of managing like how the loads materials need to be loaded onto the truck, how efficiently you are going to use the vehicle spaces, and how efficiently you're going to use the last rider bags, in terms of like you will be able to manage the delivery efficiently, your location intelligence in terms of that thing, and how like hub capacity planning, how will you do it. So like all these highly efficient algorithm which we have built has enabled BPCL problem statement solved in terms of like LPG cylinder delivery. There were another problem statement they were telling was like we are getting the incorrect pin codes from our customers. So how do we rectify that? So what we have done is like we have seen like giving a mobile application to any user, like guys like us are techie, but like our parents can't use such kinds of applications to give the locations. So what we have done is we have enabled with the WhatsApp, like they are very highly good user of the WhatsApp. So we have given them then a WhatsApp API where we are asking the customer to confirm their locations, share their locations, live locations. So we are able to capture that events, and we are taking into our platform, and which is like giving an accuracy in terms of locations and the pin code. And for the riders, we are giving like we have a location intelligence system. So what we are doing is we are giving them the capturing the defunction routes, shutdown gates like on the way. Like you can't use Google every time. Like if you can ask Blue Dart, okay, like whether you will use Google APIs or Google Maps, so they will say no. Like our drivers are following the different routes, so we can't use Google APIs. So we have been like having a like 1,75,000 trips going per month on our platform. So we are able to put an algo on that, and we are able to suggest a better routes, the ETAs to the customers to make the delivery efficiently. So like in this way, we are adding a tech for making a last mile delivery smoother.
Perfect. No, thanks a lot. That's very interesting, and the way you're adapting, I think seems a very interesting one. I think let's jump into demand forecasting. I think I believe India is a highly seasonal market. So products are changing. Why I like to live in Delhi is because Delhi has complete 6 seasons, which means 6 set of products, which so 6 set of eating thing, food products, 6 set of things to wear, right? So, and that's why I love Delhi, right? That's why I'm not in Bangalore, right? There's just one season, right? Now, when there are so many things happening, and suddenly this mango season is coming, and I was scrolling through Reliance app, and mango has started to now pop up. How do go over the challenge of demand forecasting, and what's your approach there, specifically on your omni channel strategy, right? And I honestly believe that's one of the most complicated things happening in the background. How do you deal with that, Rachit?
Rahul, to be very honest, demand forecasting for e-commerce and retail is a work in progress. So it's not the same as forecasting for a traditional general trade channel, simply because you're talking directly to the consumer. So you have to forecast for a very short duration. That's one. And second, your demand is going to be very volatile. In a traditional channel where time series forecasting models used to work, they don't work here, because there you are supplying to a distributor. Your demand is quite stable because you have a mid point, you have a sell out, sell through, sell in, sell through data for which you are basically forecasting. Here you are forecasting for sell out data. So you have to replenish your stores, and stores are directly selling to consumers. Similarly for e-commerce, in fact, the volatility is even more because your number of SKUs are huge and you're selling directly to consumer. So what are we doing for it? We have understood the complexity and the volatility involved. What are we doing? Basically, your time series forecasting models do not work because they assume the market conditions remain the same. That's the assumption behind a time series forecasting models. So you have to go beyond that. And so you have regression models as one category, and the other category is AI-driven machine learning algorithms, which are now being incorporated in the major forecasting tools. You have to use that. But using that is not so simple, because essentially what these algorithms do is they catch the pattern and the underlying behavior, as well as the macroeconomic condition, the pricing of competitors, for example. So these are the things which are dependent. So time series models were very convenient in the sense that they would explain 40%, if there's a 40% error, they would just call it randomness, right? But here, with those models, this error is going to be more than 40%. How do you explain that? So to make it more accurate, you need to understand how the environment has changed, because of which your demand is volatile, or that explains some part of the volatility. But for that, for any AI, ML or regression to work, the first thing, the underlying thing is data. So you have to capture data, right? And capture data, big data. What we are talking about is big data. You have to capture data which is at the most granular level. So for example, someone visits my website, what is the entire behavior, even though she might not buying anything from my website, but how has she behaved? Can you capture that through data? Yes, today that is being done. You have Google Analytics, you have other companies who are capturing that. Now, suppose you manage to capture, first you have to build the infrastructure to capture data at this granular level. And the second part is, how do you stack this data? So you have these data lakes, data warehouses where you stack it. And then your AI ML algorithms start working, where they build relationship as part of mathematical models. They are able to perceive, they are able to build that perception through the data which a normal human mind cannot even perceive. And that's where the new data forecasting, which is nothing but predictive analytics, has reached. And this is where it's going to impact the omni-channel strategy. This is how it's going to impact. Omni-channel strategy requires in form of demand forecasting these models. They're not easy to build. So that's why I said it's still a work in progress. But yes, there are underlying solutions available which can be worked, and they're working. It's a time. So the way machine learning basically works is it improves with time, and that's why it's called artificial intelligence, because it mimics human intelligence. Human intelligence also gains experience with time, which we call learning, and then we don't commit the same mistakes again. In the same way, machine learning works. So they perceive the data over the time. As more and more data gets collected, they work on it, they improve with time, they improve their forecasting, and that sort of a thing. Hope I've answered. Yeah.
Actually, that so I given that's a very good answer, and Tarun, you may want to counter by saying so I would like to hear your thoughts on whether time series projections work or not, and I think again that's my question. Whether advanced analytics and Linkit's demand forecasting model work in the omni-channel retailing, and I specifically I'm very keen to understand with the way the data gathering is happening and that Rachit was mentioning, has it improved over last few years, and at what point do you think artificial intelligence will take over, say, human intelligence as the more and more data gets available in the market? So over to you, Tarun.
Like sir mentioned, like they are the first to have an AI, we should have a data. So like what we have seen in the organization is, like to capture a data, they are using multiple platforms, and that platforms are not being integrated. So like very big e-commerce players, they are getting their channel sales from the different modes. It's our offline and it's our online both. Their offline sales are coming from the retail stores, their private websites, like the private label websites, the marketplace. Now it's get difficult for them to manage this data and to manage the planning for that data, like how they process their order or like how they plan for their forecasting. So Lynkit has built a platform where all the data is coming from all these different channels of sales can be easily plugged into the data, into the platform, and then able to manage their fleet if they are operating their own fleets, how they have to plan the fleet for that order management, how many fleets they are required, or if they are using multiple aggregator platforms like the one of our customers are using Blue Dart, Trackhorn for their order deliveries. So there we have an KPIs built with their platforms also. So we are telling them like which order should go to which aggregator in terms of which contract, like efficiently helping them in terms of managing their contracts and delivery, as well as that order platform has been linked with the warehouse management system. So where it's come like when a big billion day sales comes. So we are operating with Flipkart. So they say like on the north side we have a demand of iPhone 15, whereas in south side we don't have that much demand. So like getting this order from the different platform, this data, we are linking with the WMS and telling them like how which material demands what and how replenishment it is getting and from which channel you are getting this sale. So they can plan for that big event, like which inventory they want and how much inventory they want on which warehouse, as they have the real-time visibility of iPhone 15 and how many warehouses it is there in pan India level, so that they can manage to meet that need. So in this way, like we are adding an AI in terms of giving a forecastings to the customers and helping them managing their orders coming from different paths.
That's very interesting. I think this industry is going to change, right? Tremendously with technology. Do you see any emerging trend disrupting this industry? And this question is for both of you. And how are you getting ready for that change? Right, Rachit, we can start with you.
Change. Touch upon the same thing. Yes, big changes. The whole landscape is changing. We are going from a situation where we were trying to predict demand to a time where we are trying to influence a demand. So I hope you can understand the difference. Now, you probably don't realize how much uh, consumer behavior is now being dictated uh, in online channel. So that's a big change which is going to be coming at you. Second thing is personalization. We all are accustomed to going to a shop and buying what is available. But the time will come, and it's already come. I mean, now you have these concepts of AR, VR. You must have seen uh, shops where you actually can. So I was giving the example of Tira. There you can actually go before a mirror. There's I hope you're all aware of augmented reality and virtual reality terms. So in AR and VR, when you are actually using this, it's like the Snow White or whatever we had this, where a mirror tells you something. So it's probably that you can actually experience, and there's going to be a time where you can someone sitting here can go to London without actually traveling to London and have a real life experience of traveling there. So that's what we have come to, and that's what is being used in shopping today. You go to a shop, the mirror tells you what suits you, and you can the shop will readily make that item available to you. So it's not a defined SKU. So that is, and that what is creating that? That's creating a problem from supply chain point of view. Why? Because now we are setting such an expectation from the customer that they are not satisfied with next day delivery also. Today we have already gone into 10-minute delivery. And these changes, this whole technology, a big change in the way we shop and directly impact consumer product. Another example is fast fashion. So Zudio is a live example of the success there. So the earlier supply chains actually used to work with a 6-month, the entire value chain used to work with a 6-month lead time. So from design to shelf. Now that is being compressed to 1 month. So your designs change every month. Earlier there used to be designers sitting in a studio designing your clothes. That is not being done now. They've done away, most of the companies have done away with designers. They directly capture through customer behavior in stores what the customer wants, and that becomes a basis. So the changes are profound, have far-reaching effect. It's going to be a very different world 5 years or 10 years from now. That's all I can say. And supply chain and all the support functions have a catching up to do, because talking about cost, service level, that's again going to undergo a big change now. Some part of it, I don't know how much will that work in India, but some part of it has to be charged as a premium service in future. So because today everything is free, but what part of it is going to be charged to consumer, well, time will tell.
So like what we seen is for the supply chain future, like we want to have a last mile delivery visibility more clear to the customers. Like we have Zepto, they is giving 10-minute delivery at home. Like what the another side we have to see, like the organization like Zeptos, Zomatos, they should have a visibility not in terms of outbound logistics, like the delivery which is going to the customer. They should have the visibility in terms of inbound logistics, the operations which are going inside. So we call it as an integrated platform which give you the visibility in terms of every step of your operations and giving you an exception visibility so that you can take a step to improve that operations and you can take an action accordingly. Like you see, have heard the delivery trucks is giving them 2 drivers on a truck to make the delivery happen quicker. Now what we have not seen, the operation which is happening on the back end side, it is taking 24 hours. It is taking 2 hours. How can we make that efficient and get visible to the central team through our integrated platform, which make the logistics more simpler and give you the seamless customer experience at the last mile delivery to the customer. So like this is the point like which we are thinking like that would be an integrated platform which give you the visibility over all the operations from first mile to the last mile.
That's again very interesting answers. I think I'll open the floor for any questions that you guys may have. I think some very interesting answers came in. We were discussing e-commerce and consumer behavior to deep tech. Everything was there. Any questions if you may have.
Hello. Thank you for a very nice panel discussion, introductions, and sharing with us the recent industry practices. I am Professor Jitesh Thakkar, Dean Academics from Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. It is India's first and only university in transportation and logistics. I just request you to let us know, our students are also there, that when we are offering the curriculum is designed based on the inputs of industry experienced people also. From your point of view, in the current scenario, what kind of skill set you are looking for, and maybe based on that, what kind of courses or skill based programs we may include in our university. Yeah.
Sorry, because the acoustics it's a little difficult, but you wanted to understand what kind of courses should be designed by the university to adapt to the modern. Yeah, so it's more about how the new courses and see it's changing very fast, right? And we need to have the right human resources.
Okay, so like what we seen as a student, like me also in the logistics side, we should have in courses in terms of like what are the parameters on the which the different logistics operations are going on, how we can like how that's are going on, like that is a basic understanding that every student should have to enter into this domain. So like that is the main point, and another we should have a different techs, how different techs are right now solving the use cases. So that helps the student in terms of learning how that problem statement which was earlier was there, how that is working, and how now it is solving with the tech. So that I think should be there in the curriculum. So
my answer to this question would be that see, one aspect is a mix of theory and practical. There should be solid grounding of theory as well, which is very important. I went through that phase, but within the alma mater, there should also be a few months or maybe a very practical case study or a course which should be done in partnership with industry. So that is very important, because then you'll have, today when I get freshers joining my team, I need to be honest, train them for next 3 to 6 months to be able to even understand what we're doing. So we can get probably students who are industry ready. That's how I would call that. Second aspect is integrating a lot of courses around analytics. So if you are talking specifically about supply chain or operations, analytics has a big role to play. Technology has a role to play now. People should understand those terms, and we can start from the basic of technologies. For